This is Renford Rewatched. This is Jamie Dyer, and I am here today with Luke once again, and we're going to talk about Series 1, Episode 13, entitled High Noon. Before I get into all the details of this, how did you find this episode? This is the last episode of Series 1.
It's brilliant, isn't it? I really enjoyed watching it. It's basically a massive recap of everything that's happened so far. There's nods throughout it, and it's just a great ending. It's a great finale. If it was to end there, I think most people would have been really happy with that as an ending. Kind of ties up all the loose ends. But no, great episode.
Yeah. Well, it was written by Patrick Buckley and features, once again, coming back after a few episodes, Bill Homewood as Basil Stoker, Tom Weller as Terry Stoker, his son, and a special guest star, as they say, Hilary Wells as Wendy. And I must admit, I haven't been able to track down anything else to do with Hilary Wells other than this episode. But there is another Hilary Wells that was in Brookside Bread in the 1980s. I am sure that these two people are not connected, but I might be wrong, because to be honest, I haven't seen the episodes that the other Hilary Wells was in. But who knows, because she's very good in this episode. You know, it doesn't seem like a one and done type of deal, does it?
I did hear rumours that she's still riding Marie to this day. The bike. That's where she just took off on Marie, and that's the last I ever saw of her. She traveling around the UK.
if she is a one-shot actress, it's a pretty good performance. And talking of pretty good performances, and I feel like I need some kind of commentary trope here, but I'm afraid, you know, as with all of these things, it's a game of two halves, and I might get into the wrong one. We have Jim Rosenthal and Bob Wilson returning once again. And like you say, plenty of nods throughout this episode, and we shall get in. So, the opening scene here, we see them as it fades up in training, and they're very enthused about training, which is completely the opposite of what normally happens. And we see this initial conversation with Robin and Stuart, and then Vinny is there to kind of frame everything. Is this scene a bit of a nonsense one for you?
I think it was nice. You could tell. I think it sets the scene for the entire episode. They're serious. Things have changed, and it's all to play for. Are they finally taking it seriously? They're actually turning down doing other things. They're actually wanting to train, which as soon as the episode starts, you're like, something's not right here. You actually want to play and do well. But no, I wouldn't say it's a nonsense. I think it sets the tone for what's coming. Determination.
I think you might be right there, because we go into titles, and then we have VTV, which seems to be the way that they start. I don't remember it being quite so frequent, starting with Vinny to kind of frame everything as the episode is beginning, sets everything up for it. And he even name checks High Noon, which is a classic film.
Yeah, he sets the scene for the entire episode. He gives you all the points of what's going to happen. You find out it's the last game of the season. The Rejects need a win to avoid relegation, and the Razors, who are their opponents, need 1 point to win the league. So it's all to play for. And I just wanted to mention, because the intro, is it a no skip for you? Because there's very few shows on television that I don't skip an intro for. I never skip a Rejects intro.
When I am just watching casually, I won't skip the intro. If I'm watching for this, then I will.
I'll watch it. It's just so iconic. It's like that and a nod to Cowboy Bebop. The two I will never switch off. And no matter how many times I've seen or heard Australia, I'm not going to skip it. It's but yeah, Vinny TV. Vinny sets the scene incredibly for this one. It feels different. The pacing is different on this one, and I think the direction is very different.
You think so? How so?
Just that we know that they're a group of not comics, but they're not the greatest footballers. They like clowning around, but this has set the scene. It's straight away training seriously, and they need the win. It's all there. Everything's to play for. It sets the tone of the episode. You know, this is not going to be a throwaway episode. I don't know what the term is, and when it's not doesn't really matter what happens because the next episode you'll just forget about it anyway. This is key to the storyline. You make it known from the start that this is the finale of the series. You know this is the big episode.
I am slightly in two minds about it because, for one thing, I didn't realize they were in a Division 1. Which is a bit of a confusing thing. How did they get there if they're the worst team going? Like, did we witness in that first episode the formation of the entire, like, Sunday League system of Renford?
They did. It's just quite interesting because if that was the start of the league, apparently the Razors won it 3 times before. And I can't remember it being a Sunday League. I'm sure they've played on school nights before, so there might have been some differentiating circumstances there. But yeah, I think Basil actually says we're going to send them to the second division. So how on earth did they get to the first? And actually, second division might be better for them, but who knows?
Yeah, but then it wouldn't be a fun series, would it? You'd get to, series 2 we wouldn't have had the races anymore. They would have introduced another element, but then you're taking out that school connection.
Yeah, it does make me laugh when you are on the odd cases reminded that they are in school, especially when Bruno looks like 28. I think it's that Italian sun, or he's not been putting on his sunscreen.
Well, the next scene from that setting up by Vinny, we see that schoolyard with Basil and Terry and everything, and that tense music that they keep using throughout those scenes. It instantly changes the mood of the entire thing. And I think, isn't it that Vinny is talking and basically Basil is like coming quite close to the camera and he's sort of, what are you doing here? And he's like, well, I was just saying how highly respected you were, all that sort of thing. I mean, Bill Homewood in this entire episode is just perfection. He's
brilliant in this. He really is great in this episode.
It's like panto villain, but still very human.
I think Terry does a really good job in this one as well, especially that, I was on about the camera work earlier.
Yeah.
They're speaking out the camera, not breaking the fourth wall because actually talking to Vinny's camera, but I thought it was incredibly well directed. And it's got one of my favourite lines in the series from Vinny when he's talking about Terry and he says, Terry's still to master the art of joined writing. And
yeah, I had to rewind that a couple of times because I was like, what did he say? What is that? Mastered the art of joined writing. Interesting.
Yes. So he's not known as the brightest spark in the box as older Terry Terminator Stoker.
I love the kind of over-the-top laughter as Terry and Basil walk away.
It's very pantomime, isn't it? It's like almost like your proper villains from your more ha. Like they've got some secret island to go back to. But yeah, I liked that it was at school. And also it reminded me of being at school. When you had the just like used to just play on proper concrete and they just like paint some halfway lines every now and again or basketball area and I was playing on concrete before. I'm sure there's no field they could have played on, but no. Pantomime villains set up. They're quite intimidating, aren't they?
Yes.
Poor old Vinny. Quite intimidating. But it sets it up for the episode and they're not there to mess about.
No, it does get more tense as it goes. I mean, at one point, doesn't he say something about they better get their stretchers ready or something?
Bring the stretchers, yes, bring the stretchers. And that harks back to the episode of the very first one, as that's how Stuart got injured. You don't get a nickname like the Terminator if you're not going around breaking a few legs here and there.
Indeed. So after this scene, with that laughter, we cut to Eddie's cafe, where we see Marie for the first time, his latest flame. So we're at Gracelands, and it's established Priscilla is away with her mother, and we've now got a maiden name for Priscilla.
We do. A great maiden name.
McGuffey.
Priscilla McGuffey.
Yeah. That's I mean, maybe her mother got married again or like changed her name at some point, but I think we can take it on face value.
I don't think she's not even actually in the episode, is she? She doesn't appear or...
No.
Well, I mean, she doesn't usually appear, but you hear her voice.
No, she's just over the phone and we find out that her mother's name is Mrs. McGuffey. And I was like, why have they picked that? Is that a reference to something? Or is it just that it's a slightly humorous name?
Who knows? Who knows?
I mean, do you ever wonder sometimes when you see Eddie like some of his stuff might be improvised.
I do. I wonder if his clothing selection is improvised because I did notice because he's wearing a white tank top and he's got the hairiest arms you've ever seen in your life. When he's working on that, I think Eddie's brilliant, and I think this is an episode where Eddie really shines.
Yes.
He really shines in this episode, yeah.
It's the episode, I think, where Eddie is suddenly a character, right? He's an actual human being. He's got thoughts and feelings, and he's not just a walking Elvis guy saying lines. I mean, he's got his latest flame or whatever, but other than that, there's sort of attempts to branch him out a little bit, which is really cool. They sort of frame him as old school by all those mother-in-law jokes that happen within a very fast amount of time. But Marie, the motorbike, has got a sidecar on it. Bit of foreshadowing.
I wonder if Priscilla ever went in a sidecar. I think it's established she would not be happy with him having this bike.
Well, yeah, it's like she's gone away and he's gone, I'm going to buy a motorbike.
We've all done that, haven't we? His wife's gone away for the weekend and we've bought something crazy.
He says at one point, because they're like, oh, surely the mother-in-law's not fantastic. And they're like, well, you know that Stoker, you know that he's a pussycat, right? When compared to there, and it's like, oh, okay. The way Vinny comes in scene, and he's like, well, Stoker isn't a pussycat. He just said about the stretchers. You ever notice with these things? With this show in particular, because the camera's kind of running all the time, there's such a sense of reality.
It's very verite, isn't it? It feels very reality.
Yes.
Before reality TV was a thing, you feel like you are there amongst them. You are the camera is someone's eyes. As I said, I think the directing this is a really good episode. So big shout out to the director of this one and the director of photography, who we'll probably mention a bit later with some of these scenes.
We will, especially with that last scene with the football match and stuff. Some fantastic editing.
Pure genius.
Going on there. So we go back one of many times to Stoker's Yard, and even more of, as I'm calling it, it's the schoolyard, but we call it Stoker's Yard. So that music keeps coming, and it's basically like a drone, isn't it? It's sort of a drone that changes pitch occasionally. It's a piece of music, I'm sure. I'm not sure what music it is, but it works for the scene. It makes it feel tense. And so we hear in this scene that Terry is worried about Robin.
Yeah, you see another side to Terry. You see that maybe he does care a little bit, that he is not as harsh as his father. Another great line on here when he turns around and says, I didn't bring you up to think.
Yes, where he says, I don't think, I never brung you up to think.
Never brung you up to think.
Brung you.
And he's quite, obviously with the parent adult mindset, he's quite an abusive dad in the terms that he's not the nicest to his son. I think probably I'd like to believe that Terry is now in therapy and has worked through those issues as an adult himself.
Yeah, Basil is very old school as a father and as a character in general, and I love the way that he sort of bursts into really menacing lower tones, and you're like, okay, there's this, really menacing, and the line, show no weakness, like just the whole thing.
Proper pantomime.
This episode more than previous, I think. And I think it's to firmly establish that Stoker is kind of he's the bad guy in this situation. Because he's about to, the whole thing of like kidnapping Robin is very kind of fairy tale, isn't it?
Yeah, you won't get away with that these days. But yeah, it's like we talked about on previous episodes about how rejects almost feel cartoonish.
Yes.
And he plays a cartoon villain.
Yeah.
That's his character. He probably plays a cartoon villain. One of those cartoon villains that, almost like Dick Dastardly, is that they're not actually ever going to do anything really bad. And that they try and do bad things, but they're not, I don't think he'd actually ever do anything. And what would he do if he had the chance? You know what I mean? Especially as we see later when he acts all big, but when he gets met up with some girl power, he ends up left high and dry.
I think as well, the other thing is he's constantly talking about how girls can't play football and they weren't meant to and all this stuff. But he seems genuinely concerned by his son's observation that Robin's the best striker in the league, essentially. If he really thought opposite, if he really thought, well, no, she can't do it, she can't, then he wouldn't have even bothered. So in some ways, he actually believes.
Yeah, in some ways, he's terrified.
Yeah.
He's terrified that Robin Walker is going to stop him from winning the league.
Despite saying that she's incapable.
I think they really underline that as, again, like this episode is a massive recapture of the entire series of like how it started off when it's like girls can't play football. She's rubbish. We don't want her to play. And now it's just remembering. And last episode, she's the best striker in the league. And we're going to make you hate the Razors. We're going to make you hate Basil. He doesn't believe in these people, and we believe in these people.
The thing that doesn't connect is that they're bottom of the league.
I'd love to see the stats of like figures of how many games they won lost kind of ratio, but I think you just got to pretend that doesn't happen. I'm not quite sure if we've made a note of how many games they've won in the league, and say that she's the best striker in the league at the bottom, so they must be scoring goals, but they just must be conceding a lot more than they're putting in the back of the net themselves.
Well, yeah, because they're talking about, when you're talking about that, you're talking about the defence and the goalkeeper.
Oh yeah, Ronnie Super and Ben. Couldn't get better than that, could you?
Well, I don't think so anyway. So we get to one of those fantastic scenes. Again, the movement is constant of the Rejects walking down the street. They walk down this street an awful lot in the series, as I think about it. We have to talk about Bruno here because something tells me they didn't quite know how to end the scene.
Yeah, it is a weird end, isn't it? Because I like the reaction. He comes out with some very Italian stereotypical discussion on revenge against their Razors in his iconic black and white Juventus shirt. And everyone just kind of looks at him and then they just, nobody responds and just carries on walking. He's just left there in the middle of the street like, okay, maybe I went too far on this one, guys.
Yeah.
But I thought it was a great scene. But we were saying Bruno's hardly in this episode. I mean, he's present, but he has hardly any lines.
I feel like the last few episodes, he's barely said anything. It seems like the only time that we really see him is when he's the focus. At the moment, they haven't quite worked out, it seems, how to infuse him into it without it being like totally like just a gag, essentially. The other things I noticed here is that Stuart has gone quite posh again.
Did you notice his shirt? It makes me laugh. He's wearing that Adidas jacket with a really crudely sewn on Chelsea patch. That clearly he must have done himself or his mum's done for him because Chelsea was sponsored by Umbro back in the mid to late 90s. But I wonder how they got away with just shoving that on a shirt. I don't know how you can go. I don't know what the rules and regulations are of shirt wearing on representation on television. But yeah, but the best thing about that scene is that Stuart's back, or almost back. Almost.
Yeah.
6 months out, and he's only got 2 weeks left till the doctor will sign him off, which is what every Reject fan's been waiting for. He's like the prodigal son, isn't he? Everyone knows he's the best player in Renford. So that is an exciting moment, and maybe a change of the times. Because you think, well, as soon as they get Stuart, things are going to change. The Rejects will be a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
That was my belief at the time. But I was just going to mention old Martin Delaney again, giving it his big. I think basically comparing himself to Paul Ince, but Ince doesn't have the mobility or vision that Jason does.
No.
And that made me chuckle a bit. He's very high in himself because it sets the scene for what's to come, and it reinforces his character as head in the clouds. He thinks very highly of himself, and I think there's some questions about him playing striker, or he can do what Robin can. But no, I thought it was a funny scene.
If you came in halfway through and you just saw Bruno's ending, you'd think, well, what a nonsense scene that is. But actually, as you say, it gives us a lot of information about what's been and what's come. And we learn that the first series, 13 episodes, is over the course of 6 months. We see a 6-month progression. Because if say it's 6 months since Stuart broke his leg or whatever it was, that's the first episode. So there's been a 6 month period between then and the moment in the episode. But it also means, if you think about it, if this is the last game of the season, then of course, like, it's a 6 month season, I guess. I don't know how many games that would be. Maybe once a week.
No, yeah, you'd think if it's a Sunday once every Sunday for the Sunday league, it doesn't quite make sense. I think you just got to kind of gloss over some of the logistics, shall we say, of how the league is ran.
And so from there, we go back to the schoolyard. So many back to the schoolyard, so many jib shots going up and down, which really adds to the tension. And this is the scene we were talking about. We sort of combined the discussion of two scenes into one there, because they do almost feel like one scene that's been cut into two.
It does. It feels like it's very back and forth, isn't it? So it's rejects Basil, rejects Basil, rejects Basil for the first few scenes. I've almost given you their side, both sides of the story, is in to build this up, this battle, to show both sides.
And so we see the fear about Robin, and the fact, the idea that she's like the best striker in the league, and you can see the look on Basil's face of like, I've got to do something about this. And he has this sort of menacing look. And you can just see Terry, despite the fact he hangs out with his dad all the time, still has no idea what's happening.
No idea. And I also we mentioned it earlier about his outdated views.
Yes.
And I think they really ham it up in this episode also, because as fans, that's going to wind you up. You're going to want to see this villain brought down and everything he's saying to be proven wrong. Spoiler alert, it does. But no, I like this, the gentler side to Terry you're seeing here. But yeah, he's not the sharpest tool in the shed, is he? He's got no clue what his dad's doing. It's going all over his head.
Indeed. So we go back to Gracelands, and they're sort of, we've already had the last, when we left them, Bruno was talking about revenge. He was talking about revenge, and Robin has a phone call. It turns out that she has got a trial for Renford Athletics ladies.
Is that some foreshadowing of what's to come in Series 2? Who knows? I don't know what they'd have been discussing at this point. And a shout out to Robin in that purple and yellow Puma jacket. It's great.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not going to lie. I was absolutely in love with Robin Walker when I was 10.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what more could you like? A girl who likes football and who's great at it. It was just a perfect woman. And she plays a great role in this. She really does.
She does, yeah. It's quite an important thing. It gets quite emotional as it goes along. And so this trial is the same day as the match. And we have this back and forth confusion about Eddie and his motorbike, and they kind of use that as a way to stretch the time a little bit, I feel, just so that Robin's got long enough to be on the phone. It's like, we'll go back to like the secondary thing. We'll just remind everybody that Eddie's got this motorbike. But then we go back to the Razors, like you said, this back and forth. And actually, previous scene, Eddie does offer to take Robin, but Robin refuses.
They mock Marie, don't they? They're all a bit like, what's this? And again, Marie will come to this and save the day. But yes, they don't want Eddie's help. But we know eventually they're going to need it.
Yeah. But then it's a bit like Home Alone. If Kevin had a mobile phone, there wouldn't be a movie, would there? So,
Exactly. But this is the thing I was mentioning when you see 7 Razors players training.
Yes.
There's no mention of substitutes. And obviously it becomes a big problem in this in this episode. But how can they have 7 players?
I don't know. Maybe they're, I don't know, funding the league or something. It's like...
maybe the Rejects had no other friends who could get to come and play. I'm just trying to make stuff up here to try and work out why it makes sense. But there's another great line on there. And again, setting up Basil for the villain role. It's good, solid British football. None of that continental stuff, which obviously you've got Bruno, the Italian. Yeah. It reminds me of that line from Mike Bassett's England manager. which is a great film.
I haven't seen it. That's why I went silent then. I was like, oh, you're going to say what the line is.
Oh,
But
I don't know if I swear. I think it's about playing 4-4-2. It's like none of that Dutch rubbish. We're playing 4-4-2 with a few expletives in between. But it's actually it's a decent film. Mike Bassett. I don't know maybe if it's as good watching it in hindsight as an adult, but when I was like 15, I thought it was brilliant.
yeah, I knew it was a film. It was a TV series for a while, and I saw
They
that.
did do a spin-off, yeah, but I don't think it did very well. It only lasted one series. I think the film was him as England manager, and the show was like him as club football manager.
Yeah, there were a lot of things about like football managers around at that point in like the mid 2000s.
Footballers' Wives about this time as well, and Dream Team. I was a massive Dream Team fan.
I think it's interesting, isn't it? Because with the rejects, yeah, there were football shows before this, but between here and within 10 years, there's so much like football pop culture happening. There's always a lot of talk about, oh, Italia 90 and Euro 96, really from Euro 96 till, I don't know, like 2010. There's like this massive burst, as you say, with like footballers' wives and all these other things, just all connected to
It really
football.
kicked off with Euro 96. I think it's because I was reading a book on Euro 96 not long ago, and it was saying how the football numbers in terms of like England, they weren't even half filling the stadiums in the build up to Euro 96 because just I guess the nation wasn't as interested. It's kind of crazy now to think that England could play a game and not sell out Wembley, but it's just that I think Euro 96 changed all that. That was it brought football home. We might not have won it, hey, but we brought it home and it really brought it to life. I remember being at the first tournament I remember as a kid, and that got me into it. So yeah, footballers wise, dream team. Were you a dream team fan, Jamie?
No, I didn't watch
Oh,
Dream
Jamie,
Team.
that's a shame. You would have loved Dream Team, mate. Just imagine like Hollyoaks and football and put them together. It was great. But it was the most dramatic thing ever. I think every season had this like crazy finale, like where a bus would crash, or there'd be a sniper, or there'd be a assassin, or it was bonkers, absolutely bonkers. But it was great.
Oh, there should have been some kind of crossover.
I like to think that they're related in my head. They both wore purple shirts,
Yeah,
so that's my connection in my head.
which is a shame because I was playing sensible soccer the other day and trying to create my own rejects team, and they did not have the color purple.
No, they don't. I've got my sensible soccer hoodie on today, repping. But yes, they don't have the color purple. It's crazy, but it makes you laugh remembering about putting rejects. Because I'm talking what year? 98. I had Worms 2 for the
Yeah,
PC. And
yeah.
you have a 5-man Worms squad, and I put the rejects on Worms 2. One of my teams was the rejects. So it's just got Bruno de Grade lobbing grenades and bazookas being fired at Stuart. But yeah, I just loved editing. I'd put all my favourite characters on games, but
I'm glad I wasn't the only one.
oh, I think there was Friends. I had the Friends cast on as well. So you had like Bruno trying to blow up Rachel Green. It was the childhood mind of imagination goes some crazy places. But yeah,
Indeed. Yeah, when I found the editing section of Michael Owen's World Lead Soccer 99, Ben Phillips was in goal, man.
oh, you actually found your save.
No, I don't know where my save is now
Oh,
in
I
the
thought you meant
ether.
you've actually still found it, and Ben Phillips was in goal.
Nope. I used to put Ben Phillips in goal. That was
That's
the
brilliant. That's genius. I think I did find someone somewhere, some genius, has actually made a champion. Oh, it's football manager now, isn't it? But now as a kid, it was championship manager. They've put the rejects onto championship manager.
yeah.
It's brilliant. I've never played the download, but they've got pictures, like they've got the headshots of the characters, and I thought that was brilliant. Rejects on a football manager. I used to spend hours editing my friends on football manager, then going to school and telling them like, "You've just moved to Bayern Munich." Um,
I mean, it's all interesting stuff. We've deviated way off, but
definitely.
it's all interesting stuff, and I'm going to keep it in the edit because it goes to show you what was happening around this period.
Sets the scene, doesn't it? It sets the scene of being that age and what football meant to people at that age at that time.
Yeah. Well, as Basil says at the end of the scene we were discussing before that deviation, he says it in such a way. It's so menacing. That's more like it. It's like, okay. Really, really panto, really big, but you totally want it to be like that.
He took this role and he thought, I'm going to give it my all. And I take my hat off to him. He put everything into this. And I think Stoker's one of the few people who last the entire run. Am I correct? Um, he's great. He's great. I wouldn't have him any other way.
When I spoke to Bill, who plays Basil, he told me that, and you can go and listen to the interview, he based it kind of on his like PE teachers and stuff that he had at school.
Hear a lot of that.
I would imagine that more kind of authoritarian.
Yeah, like the guy from Kes. If you've ever seen the film Kes, it's apparently very, very similar to the teachers that our parents probably would have had in school. Especially those socks. Those socks are great. I think he has them almost up to his knees, over his tracky bottoms as well. You know, that's as was the style of the time.
all these little touches. So after the break, because we go to an ad break here, Finney has an interview with Jason, and I think this is just to show that Jason is still going off on tangents and still being very mouthy.
Oh yeah, Jason. He's still giving it that big match. Jason. He's
Yeah,
got a bit of a Gallagher feel to him, isn't he? He's looking at camera. He's I think it sets up the scene then. He's very confident, very cocky. He's not scared. He's relishing it.
indeed.
Good old Jason.
The crazy thing that happens next is we cut to Bob and Jim. Now, the thing with Bob and Jim is it was a fantasy, and there were episodes where it would cut to them, usually with some kind of static, and we'd see someone go, I want to know who Vinny Rodriguez is now. And now they appear to be working with him.
Now they're not only working with him, they know that they name dropped VTV, they knew the rejects. He's come full circle. At the start, they didn't know who we were. Now they're on board. They're one of us. They're here. They're on the side. They can't wait to see it go. I think I did read an interview with Jim, who said that he had met some people in his past that were more excited that he'd been on Rejects than the fact that he's a professional commentator.
It was iconic. It was absolutely iconic, the whole thing. Whoever decided to get them on board was just a genius, because it just adds a whole extra fantasy layer to it, and it does make you think that the whole show is through Vinny's perspective because of the camera.
You're never quite sure if it is fantasy or what's fantasy and what isn't. That's what I like about it. They obviously got a good team, and I bet it was a real laugh in the writers' room because they obviously were very passionate about it, and they put so many layers into it. Because we're talking about a time on kids' TV where most episodes didn't really have a continuing arc, or any references back to things. It was just like the next episode, everyone just forgot what happened in the last one, and it's a new one. But this is some progression. Definitely, they've gone from not knowing who Vinny is to now going live to VTV.
Like you said, everything in this episode is full circle and references throughout, and just wonderful. I think one of my favorite episodes so far, but we shall get there. We see Robin arrive at the ground after she decides to take the bus, and she meets Wendy, dressed in a leather jacket, and we see this sort of low angle walking into the dressing room. And she says, "Oh, I'll be back in a few minutes, and come and get you in a minute, because the girls are apparently training somewhere, or they're a bit late, or something like that, isn't it?" And then we see Wendy lock the door and walk away, and Robin realizes that this is happening, and she starts banging on the door.
It's just got that shot of the corridor, slightly to an angle. It's empty corridor as Robin bangs. Yeah, there's a bit of child abduction, it's fine.
I mean, it's interesting because the music we hear has been used in previous episodes to kind of signify love and that sort of thing.
Oh.
So we've, I think it was in the Ben episode, one of the Ben episodes, that we've used that music in many different instances. But yeah, as you say, the direction in this really gives it kind of a different feel. It almost turns into a Western from this point, as can be shown by the good, the bad, the ugly music.
And the title, High Noon.
Yeah. So Robin is in Renford kit, which is very convenient for later. I guess she was already going to wear that anyway. But would you wear your Sunday League kit to a trial for a football club?
I guess it makes sense if that's where she's going to play afterwards. No, I don't know.
Well, after we see her banging on the door, we hear Tub Thumping by Chamba which...
What a tune. What a tune.
Yes. Yes. We see a view of the pitch, and we see Stuart pondering. Lots of Stuart kind of acting and thinking in this episode. Basil is incredibly smug here. He's sort of got that slight laugh in his voice. It's like, oh no. It's so sort of smug, and it's perfect for this. But he says, as you've pointed out before, that he said he will lend him one of his players, but it's not allowed because there's only 4 players there.
Exactly. Yeah, he's got 7. And if you notice as well, the arena, it looks like they're playing at like a track or a miniature, like a small stadium. So it's like also lives up to this big match. You know, they're not playing just on the field this time. They're playing on what looks like some actual ground of some sort.
Well, it's a change from the concrete.
Yes. And they've played indoors a few times as well, haven't they?
Yes, randomly. I never could work out what that was. Why they were playing indoors. I mean, maybe there was a scheduling change or something when they were filming.
Or it were raining.
Yeah. Something like that. So we see Robin yelling once more, and then we hear Ready to Go by Republica, which again is another throwback to...
It is. I think it's like the greatest hits, isn't it? They're bringing out and Republica is an absolute tune. Another childhood crush of mine. Yeah, that was an absolute tune. And it's great. It's great for an action scene, for a footballing scene, for a sports scene. It's fast paced. It's honky. It's good to go.
Indeed. The track was used many times, but I think most memorably in the Stan Bowles episode.
One of my favourites.
Yeah. I mean, that's why it works, I think. Is like you say, it's like a greatest hits. I do wonder whether they knew they were coming back or not, because it does feel like they're wrapping things up in all kinds of things.
The song's quite fast changing, so it goes with the fast cuts. If I remember correctly, they used it in the Stan Bowles, it was the montage scene of them going around London. So it was a lot of chopping and changing, which also in this scene, it's a lot of chopping and changing. And very tension, a lot of tension, a lot of pushing and shoving, tension's building.
Yes, there's a lot of...
there's no love lost here.
There's a lot of cuts. It's funny how we spend the entire episode kind of in that free-flowing, slightly theatrical, camera doesn't really cut anywhere. It moves rather than cuts. Feel like we're right there in reality. And then the moment that the football comes on, we've got a lot of cuts. It becomes very cinematic.
Oh, yeah. I'm really impressed with how they film these football scenes. I really am, because growing up a football fan, as you did too, football on television was never represented very well. It's very hard to find shows that when they actually play football, it looks good, especially American. Oh gosh. I watched Cobra Kai not long ago, and there's a scene where they play football in that, and I couldn't watch it. It's awful. But this is directed really well, which is a rarity for me in football shows or shows that feature football or footballing scenes. I think it's incredibly well directed.
I think so. I mean, the cut in between of like Stuart's face moving, like he's watching tennis, sort of that quick thing of like, oh, is very interesting. Like it ramps up that pace.
And you also see a lot of the rejects falling over, which also goes to show they're still not great. They're trying their hardest, but they're still falling over. And Ben pulling off some amazing saves. He's hardly said a word in this episode, but he pulls off some absolute brilliant saves in this episode. So they're getting hammered. They are getting hammered. Most of the shots are going against the rejects, and Ben's keeping him in this game by the looks of it.
I mean, when he said it was the survival of the fittest, he wasn't wrong.
No.
He brought his A game. Jason tackles. Is it Terry?
I don't know I didn't notice who it is, but I did notice it wasn't in the box. But I know you can't go in the box in five-a-side, so I don't know how penalties work on five-a-side. But yes, a penalty is given.
Well, remember, Jason's hands are registered as lethal
Registered
weapons.
weapons.
For some reason, I feel like that was a really popular, like, schoolyard phrase or something around this period. And I love the way that Tom Weller, who played Terry, has this kind of vague, wait, is it?
Yeah, he plays it really well in this episode. But I like how it also goes to show that Jason kind of believes his own stuff because he's not backing down, which is great. Jason's not backing down. Uh,
And so Terry takes the penalty, and it's a goal.
yeah, Ben goes the wrong way. Yeah, it's a well taken penalty. And then Furious Angels kicks in. The iconic track. It's Rob Dugan, if I remember correctly. It was from The Matrix as well, which has been in this show a few times. So it's like, again, the greatest hits, bringing out the big guys.
Do you reckon that it's included in The Matrix because they saw this TV show?
Well, yeah, Matrix was 99. I'd like to think the Wachowskis was watching Renford Rejects and thought, you know what? I think we can make something with this. That inadvertently, I think the Wachowskis were probably on their holidays. They'd come to Bridlington, switched on telly, happened to catch an episode of The Rejects and heard Rob Dugan's Furious Angel. That's the canon I have in my head.
Yeah. Well, Eddie has a hunch. He's got this kind of idea that, maybe something's a bit amiss. Something very magical happens. Stuart calls for a substitution, and you think, wait, they haven't got anybody. And you see him start to unzip and unstrap and everything else. And I love the fact that in the earlier scene, you see him still with his walking stick very prominently in the shot to show, well, he's still, he's not supposed to be doing anything with it.
He got that purple shirt, and that was like a holy moment. You're like, oh, this is going to get real.
But you wonder,
Stuart is back.
Has he been wearing that purple shirt this whole time? He's just waiting for his moment. And then he's like, wait, something's telling me. Substitution. There's a great line in there about dancing, something about dancing with something. And they're like, well, he won't even be able to walk, let alone dance. And yeah, as you say, he's got his kit underneath. We see him run on. And Eddie finds out that there's no trials. For some reason, Eddie has a mobile phone, which in 1998 must have been incredibly expensive.
Yeah, it brings in some money, them chips that they sell at Gracelands.
It's pretty shocking considering a few episodes previously he was being told by his accountant not to spend money needlessly.
Yeah, and he's bought a bike as well, so maybe he's going to some money.
Maybe so. Yes, or he's got a very big credit card bill. Whatever it is, I mean, back then you wouldn't have had big value bundles or anything. It was like by the minute.
Oh yeah, it was so expensive, wasn't it?
But then that mobile was so small, it didn't look very big to me. I don't know about you, but it didn't.
I didn't clock it. I didn't actually clock the phone. I remember him using it, but I didn't clock that. It was like 98. That was a pretty cool thing to have.
Yeah, I think I'm always thinking, when I think of the 90s mobile phone, I think of those big brick ones, where it's like a front thing with a little antenna on it that you pull out. But that didn't seem to be one of those. I guess we are talking about the beginning of the Nokia.
Yeah, what was your first phone, Jimmy?
My first phone, I feel like it was a Siemens in about 2004, and I had it for a few months, and then I was like, no. And then when I joined college, I feel like I had one of those flip phones.
I feel cool. See, I'm a bit older than you, and I had the Nokia 5110, and I remember you could have 10 messages. That's all you could hold. 10 messages. You couldn't download a ringtone. And I had a Nike logo as my background that probably cost me about £4.50 from back of a magazine or something.
It was great, I think. But yeah, at this point, though, the idea of having a mobile phone had to be quite well off, I think, still to have one. So we see him riding this motorbike, Marie, and we have a lot of shots. And I wonder, how much footage did they shoot?
And they sped it up a bit. You can tell it's sped up a little bit to make him look like he's going a bit faster. I wonder if he actually rode a bike in real life, and that's why they kind of brought that into it, because you actually could. Eddie did ride in real life.
I mean, you think that that's Alex Norton's actual motorbike?
We'll have to ask him one day. We'll have to ask him.
I mean, in that case, it would be funny, wouldn't it, really? Because obviously we know that him and Priscilla are married in real life.
Yes.
So,
Again, yes. It's one of my favourite Rejects facts that they're married in real life. I don't think they met on Rejects, did they? They were together before.
they were together years before, yeah.
So I actually looked her up. You can actually Google what Priscilla looks like, because you famously only see her from, I think, the waist down, don't you, or something like that? It's almost like the opposite, the guy from Home Improvement, Wilson.
Oh my goodness, I've never thought of that.
We're name dropping here today, aren't we? Yes, it's like the opposite of Wilson.
That she's like Wilson. Oh, brilliant.
Which was really big at the time, wasn't it? So maybe that was a nod, maybe.
Maybe there was some inspiration there, yeah. So as we finish with the motorbike sequences, a lot of on-camera stuff, riding down first person, third person, all over the place. So much footage, I think, shot for that. We go to the good, the bad, the ugly music. And it gets this sort of Western feel. I love the way that Wendy comes out like dragging Robin like she's some kind of like hostage.
More child abuse.
Like it's, well, really Western style, and it's kind of over the top.
Yeah, he's almost like the Western, when they've got the dame and they've like, bring her out and it's like, I've got you, woman, and old Clint Eastwood over here, which is Eddie. He definitely is the hero of this episode, I think.
Indeed, yeah.
He's one of them. There's many heroes in this episode, and he's one of them.
He's the underdog because nobody expects him to do anything really useful, because in some ways he comes in on quite a selfish thing where he's done something completely for himself, knowing that his wife won't like it. And it's turned out that his selfish thing has actually saved the day because he's got a means of getting around. At this point, I think we have seen him drive a car before, but for some reason he's decided, I mean, maybe that's how he could afford the motorbike. Maybe he traded the car in, or maybe she's taken the car, perhaps to her mother. Yeah, he is the hero here. We see them kind of trying to bargain, and at first Wendy doesn't appear to know what's happened. For all she knows, like, this bald guy that's a bit fierce has come up and said that there's going to be some trials and that some girl will come up asking about them and a guy will come along and pay money. And I think it's so... She's really good, I think.
I think she's really good in this role, actually. She's really good. Which was when you told me you couldn't find her any other credits. Surprised me, because I thought she wasn't bad.
No, it really does. She does work. If this is her only credit, it's a good one. Because really, it didn't need to be much, but I think she works so well with Eddie here. But before we get to that, we cut back to the match again, and we see that Stewart is turning everything around, and he scores.
Oh, it's an absolute beautiful goal, isn't it? He takes the ball from just outside his own area. Takes on 1-2, long range drive, boom, back at net. Absolute beautiful goal. Again, the direction on this bit, because there's a lot of shots and close-ups, and throughout this episode, there's a lot of face-to-face shots, like head-to-head, which comes up. I think there's at least 3 head-to-heads in this scene. And obviously, there's the big rivalry between Stewart and Terry the Terminator, which comes back to haunt him after that wonderful goal. It's a horrendous challenge.
Oh my goodness, that challenge. He practically punches him to the ground.
I remember when he broke his leg, and that was awful. That guy should have been sent off. That referee, bit ponytail, don't know what he's playing at. He's got to be one at mates at show, surely. I think he has seen him a few times.
Maybe so, but...
Ponytail ref, that's what we'll know him as.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for him in Series 2. But they're celebrating because they're like, well, Stuart, you did it. Like, you did exactly what you said you were going to do, basically. And then, like, the freeze of like, oh, Stuart's hurt. And like they go over to see, and it turns out he's been terminated once more. But yeah, that challenge, horrendous.
Disgraceful. I think someone describes it as disgraceful, and it is, Jamie. It's a horrible challenge. I wonder how many takes it took them to get that one done.
I don't know, but I love the sound effect as he hit the ground. And I wonder, is that Foley or is that actually the sound of Stuart Jackson hitting the ground in this scene? But the use of music and everything, it just gives it a real thing, real vibe. We are back at the first episode again.
Yes, again, another callback, because we were all there excited that Stuart's almost back and that tides are going to change. Maybe series 2, he's going to be a full-time player. That's going to be amazing. And then, boom, right back to episode 1, he's injured again.
And so it looks like there's no way back, but there is, because there has to be a trade. So with this trade for Robin, they're not quite sure what they can do, are they? And then Wendy's like, well, that's a BTS 500. I'll have that, And I love like the deliberation. And we hear in the background, I think it's Fever in the background.
I think you're right.
While they're doing that. I don't know whether that's the Elvis version or not, but it gives it that vibe. We see this sort of back and forth, and I love the pauses. Eddie's acting of like...
Yeah, they're really thinking about it. I think they really sell it well. And it's a shame that character doesn't come back, because I think she works really well with Eddie. And you could see her kind of becoming on their side. Well, by the end she does, but I think she'd have been quite a cool addition, to be honest. And I still don't know who June Vincent is.
I mean, yeah, this is the thing, right? So with this trade, we have that BTS 500. She decides to throw in the Wilson racing helmet. Not enough. Then her entire collection of Gene Vincent LPs. Eddie says, does that include Michiko from Tokyo, which is a song? And she's like, where's the original recording? Now, for people like yourself that don't know who Gene Vincent was, he was one of the early rock and rollers in the late 1950s. His big song was Bebop-A-Lula, but he's got others in his catalogue, and it's sort of like... It's like Elvis, but it's a different kind of wild. You had Elvis, and you had Eddie Cochran and Gene Vincent, and those guys in that genre were very kind of influential. And Gene Vincent sadly passed away in the early 70s. But yeah, it's some great material, especially in that sort of late 50s, early 60s period. And Michigo from Tokyo, I was looking up, is from an album from 1960. So you do wonder. I love that reference, because you would think, she'd throw in her entire Elvis thing, right? But instead, it's something else. It widens his character. It means he's not just Elvis obsessed. Like he likes rock and roll. He's kind of that old dude, typical kind of dad.
It'd be interesting as well, because I'm a bit of a vinyl hound myself. I'd love to look up on Discogs, which is it's a vinyl collection website, to see how much that record's actually worth. I'm going to do that after this. I'm going to go on Discogs and see how much that vinyl is worth these days, at least the old collection, especially the first printing, because vinyl is worth a lot of money if you've got a lot of the first pressings and whatnot, especially from rock and roll. I also know how much the Beatles and stuff go for, and I bet Elvis originals go for an absolute fortune. So yeah, I'm going to look up that, and maybe it would have been a good trade in the long run. Who knows?
Probably so. Let's wrap this up. We have that final scene. Eddie arrives on a motorbike at the pitch. Robin comes on, and there is a penalty. Tackle on Jason. Jason gives it all that, going, well, you're just about to do the biggest, best striker in Renford. And you think, oh no, we've seen this before.
You think it's going to be him, put himself forward again, which is something he's always tried to do when they fight over the penalty. I think, is it in the first episode or one of the early episodes they fight over the penalty? And he just says, Robin Walker. And that's like a massive character term for him, because he always thinks he's the best. And that's him admitting not just that Robin's better than him, that a girl's better than him, which was an issue in the early episodes. And it's a beautiful penalty. Sends keeper the wrong way. Everyone goes ape. It's brilliant. That act of selflessness from Jason was brilliant. And did you notice that the goalkeeper is wearing an outfield jersey?
Is he?
These are the kind of things I notice. I'm like, why is the goalkeeper wearing red? Sure, that's confusing. Because the rejects keeper doesn't wear a purple jersey.
No.
Um, but yeah, I think that's the first time we've ever seen that raised as goalkeeper, unless I went back to the first episode and tried to match the faces.
I do wonder sometimes whether they were just kind of extras. Like there wasn't any set raisers. They just went with whoever was around at the time
Yeah,
because they were in it so infrequently. You sort of imagine every episode that Basil and Terry were up against them, but it wasn't really, not at the beginning
no,
anyway. And so, yeah, then we come to the conclusion.
the rejects are safe.
Yeah,
They've avoided relegation. And a bigger question, Jamie, if because they lose, the rejects, the raisers have lost, they don't win the league. Who does? I like to think it's the tenors from the earlier episode.
like the Renford Choir Boys or something.
Quite voice the champion.
Yes. Yeah. Who did win?
Who won the league? We may never know, Jamie.
No.
If we ever get to speak to Stephen or one of the creators, that is going to be a question I'll ask them. And I bet they'll just look at me like, what are you on about? But I'd like to believe it was either the tenors or the choir boys. What about the robots? There was a robot team, wasn't there, as well?
It probably is the robots from The Best Medicine.
Yes, the Renford robots.
Yeah. And of course, after this, Basil gets his comeuppance, finally.
Yes, girl power. They're quite a scary twosome. I wouldn't want to go up against Robin and Wendy.
No.
And I think it's really great because he gives it all that, doesn't he, Basil? But then at this end of this scene, you see him pegged up and left on a fence post, kicking and screaming.
I mean, that looks like such a fun shoot, doesn't it?
It does. I bet that was fun. I bet that was fun to do. I wonder how long they left him there before they actually got him down. That's another question for Basil.
It's the over exaggerated, like proper over the top stuff. And it's both funny and yet at the same time, you're like, yes.
Yes, it's like that. I'll get you next time, gadget kind of thing. It's very humorous. It's a really comedic scene, that.
Yeah. And so we see at the end that Robin has got some of the money that was owed to Wendy, that Wendy's decided to share it.
Yeah, that's why I think Wendy's a good person. I like to have seen more of Wendy. And there's a party. There's a party for the rejects. And is it what are they doing? What do you call that? It's not the can, is it?
It's a conga.
Conga, that's the word. There's conga. This means the world to me. This is like the league title for them. And it's nice because it's not a story of like, an underdog story of being really crap and winning the league. They're not great, but this is it for them. They're happy with that. They don't need to win the league to be happy. They survived, and they survived by playing well. And I think it's a lovely little cake. A cake from the management. So he also brings out a cake that doesn't look like it. That's not going to be cheap. But I think it's a really good episode for Robin in this one. Robin, there's a lovely moment with Eddie and Robin together in this episode. And I really like it.
I really like this episode. I think it's one of the strongest that we've seen so far. It's sort of irreverent, but also like there's a lot of meaning in there and there's a lot of resolving a lot of the flaws so that we can move forward. And of course, as you say, Robin's really good. This is basically the last episode in which Robin is a major part of it.
I do wonder if she knew she was leaving at this point, or I remember being absolutely gutted. And if you have me on for the next episode, I was absolutely gutted when Robin didn't come back. Absolutely gutted. I'm glad that they got her back for that episode. I think that was really important to say goodbye, but I was not a fan of Sue.
Well, we shall get there. And that brings us to the end of our episode. And what a fun episode this has been, with a lot of deviation.
A lot of deviation. Did you like the end montage? The end montage was brilliant because there was a little sports view where the gang all comes back and they say a few catchphrases, BTV, and we're going to be promising to be back next season, which kind of like saying we're going to have a series 2 maybe. And then it ends and there's a great montage which I want to give a massive shout out to Pierre. Is it Pierre Bafferty?
Priya Bofferty, isn't it? Yeah.
Bafferty, who's the director of photography of this episode, and it's a great montage scene of playing football, but it's from the view of the ball, and it's genius. It's so well directed, and I've never seen that kind of done before. As I said, I'm so used to watching football being poorly done dramatically, and that was great. So Pierre, my hats off to you. That was fantastic.
And it's sort of sped up a bit, isn't it? It's all sort of sped up movement so that it looks like it's from the ball's perspective, as you say.
Top job, Pierre. The fact that they've got a bloke called Pierre working on Renford Rejects makes me laugh. You know, it's it's a French auteur. You know, used to work in watching the films of Godard or Genet, and he's there working on Renford Rejects.
Yeah, but that's what makes this. I used to listen to reviews of Renford Rejects, and they'd just be absolutely. People would be slating it, saying how bad it was, and I'm just like, have you seen the photography in this stuff?
It's very easy to like. You think it's very easy to mock Rejects, but there's a lot of love that went into it, and there is a lot of craft and some great photography in it. And when you look into it more deeper, people at face value are just like, oh, Rejects. But no, it's so well put together. It really is. And you've got some talented filmmakers and writers on that and actors. It was just a whole great ensemble piece. And this episode really captured it. It's like a massive full circle of the whole series.
Yeah.
A tying up of some stories. And they're still crap, but they survived. They beat the Razors and lived to fight another day.
And avoided Division 2.
They avoided Division 2. We might never know what happens in the doldrums of Division 2. But yes, so I can't remember much past Series 2. I can't remember if they ever actually do win the league or get relegated. I cannot recall.
No. Well, we shall get there.
That's a learning curve for me. But without as beloved Robin, will it ever be the same?
No, I don't think so. And that brings us to the end of our episode. But if you enjoyed this, thank you. And also be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe on your favorite podcast provider. If you are listening to us, watching us, however it is, on YouTube, subscribe for more Renford episodes, and also go on to the Twitter page or X or whatever it's called now, Renford. I post on there sometimes. And if you are a former cast member, a person who has worked behind the scenes of the Rejects, or maybe you were a guest star, I would love to talk to you. Thank you, Luke, once again for being a guest on Renford Rewatched.
Thank you for having me, Jamie. Absolutely love it. It's great to talk about one of my favourite shows of all time with yourself. So thank you for having me.